Take a look at the top headlines this hour. In a mass stabbing and car ramming incident, UK police has shot dead a man believed to be the suspect. The attack reportedly claimed 2 lives while 3 civilians remain in critical condition. UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer has taken cognizance of the matter and will be chairing a Cobra meeting. US President Donald Trump has taken a dig at Democrats as the US government shuts down, stating that Democrats will give away their healthcare funds to illegal migrants. Following the US government shutdown, the Trump administration has commenced targeting funding projects in Democrat-ruled states. Trump has warned of massive cuts, and US Vice President J.D. Vance has warned of mass layoffs of federal workers. The 8th flotilla bound for Gaza has been intercepted by the Israeli forces. Dozens of activists, including Swedish climate campaigner Greta Thunberg, have been detained. Many countries have denounced Israel's interception of the Global Sumud Flotilla. Britain says that it expects the situation to be resolved safely, while South Africa has slammed Israel, terming the action as continued violation of international law. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has warned European leaders that Russia has the ability to violate airspace anywhere on the continent. This comes as Zelensky has offered his country's war-honed expertise to help counter air incursion threats. French President Emmanuel Macron has warned that drones violating European airspace will be destroyed. He's emphasized upon readiness to defend the territories of the EU and NATO countries. This, of course, comes amid recent suspected Russian drone and fighter jet incursions. After days of rescue operations, authorities have detected no more signs of life at the collapsed Indonesian school. At least 59 people are believed to be missing and buried since Monday. The authorities have now confirmed the death of 6 people in the tragedy. All right, viewers, those are the headlines, and our top focus: the tragedy in Manchester. A local resident living near the synagogue expressed a deep fear for her safety. She has stated that she was absolutely terrified after the attack took place. Listen in.
Today is Yom Kippur. It's a very holy festival, and I'm Jewish and absolutely terrified. And our neighbour across the road, he goes to the synagogue, and he was telling us what was going on, and it's just absolutely frightening, because I'm scared for my own safety and my mum's safety, because I just feel that the Jewish, we're not pulling together anymore. I just feel there was so many people down that road taking pictures, and they're happy to be on camera, but they don't realise the impact it's putting on the Jewish community now.
Meanwhile, the Mayor of London, Sadiq Khan, has stated that police presence will be increased at synagogues across the capital following this attack in Manchester. Remember, 2 people have lost their lives and 3 are in a critical condition after the attack at Crumpsall. This man, the suspect who's been shot, he drove his car into pedestrians who were gathered outside the synagogue and then stabbed some of them as well. Remember, earlier UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer stated that security is being boosted at synagogues across Britain. He'll be chairing a Cobra meeting as well to ascertain what is being done on ground. Meanwhile, authorities are urging the public to avoid the area as investigation into the tragedy continues. With us on the broadcast is Mr. Mark Sutherland, geopolitical commentator, joining us from London. Thank you, sir, once again for taking out time, joining us on NewsX World as we track developments regarding this story. What's fresh is that London's Mayor Sadiq Khan has stated that police presence will be increased at synagogues across the capital. This is in line with what British Prime Minister Keir Starmer has stated. Now, critics are pointing out that Sadiq Khan has enabled polarizing public discourse as the Mayor of London. In your assessment, will he walk the talk? Will he live up to the promises that he's making now?
Pierre, good to be back with you. The awful events of the 7th of October 2023, when Hamas attacked Israel, we start at that point. And since then, there has been pro-Palestinian marches in London virtually every other weekend. Those have also happened up and down the country. The security of mosques, synagogue, Freudian slip, has been going on privately within the Jewish community for many, many years. And if Sadiq Khan wanted to lower the rhetoric, then one way to have done that would be to then really bring these Palestinian marches, protests, into line and actually say, no, this is unacceptable, because it has intimidated the Jewish communities in this country. It's definitely intimidated the Jewish community in London, and people are in regular discussion about saying, is there any future for us as Jews in this country, and do we actually leave, do Aliyah, and then go back to Israel? The issue is this, to me, as I say, is that Sadiq Khan could have put in processes, said things to damper this, and in my humble opinion, has then not done so. One of the other issues is the rhetoric that is out there. And in the end, when you say things, when you go, well, we're going to, as the UK Prime Minister has done, the UK government has done, we're going to recognize a two-state solution, and also under threat that if you don't do that, like we found in Italy, where Giorgia Meloni has not done that as an Italian government, and then people kick off in Milan and just riot like a very, very serious temper tantrum because they're not getting what they want. Words matter. Discourse matters. We have to remember that with the appalling killing, assassination of Charlie Kirk. The public square, in what we say, it's very, very important in how we say it. But unfortunately, and it's also been shown this week within the Labour conference and a speech by Keir Starmer, is that rhetoric then escalates, and then people go and deny that and try and water that down. So that is what is going on, Pierre. We have to be careful on what we say, but you are right. The problem is that some people's actions have not backed up things for a long, long time, and that's where we are at, Pierre.
So then, in your assessment, what's really necessary at this hour to tackle anti-Jewish, anti-Semitic sentiments which manifest in such tragedies?
Well, the awful thing, as I was actually on that march a couple of weeks ago, which is the march against anti-Semitism in London. All people can do is express that and raise this issue. But when we're dealing with an ideology, look, today you and I are having a discussion on the day of Yom Kippur, which is the most holiest days in the Jewish calendar. That is, and Day of Atonement. We unfortunately are having this discussion. But if people believe in an ideology that they wish to then murder Jews and think that that is perfectly acceptable way to behave, as we have seen on the 7th of October, we've had people around the world calling to globalize the Intifada. Then this is where we are at. Because it is about rhetoric. You keep pushing that, then why should we, sadly, then these incidents then happen because the rhetoric then pushes that within the public square. And people have just got to be honest. If you have this kind of behavior, these actions are unbelievably unacceptable. That's it within any Western society. But because there is people that thinking that that is the way to behave. The fact that we as the government in the UK have got 40,000 people that they're having to track because of their behavior and their threat to the UK, their threat to Western civilization. that is a position that we are in because we have also imported and brought that ideology into this country, as much as to some that will be a profoundly maybe offensive thing to say, but it's the truth. And that is where we are at, unfortunately, in the UK and in Europe, if not in other parts of the world. Pia.
All right, so with that, I would like to thank you for taking out time, sharing your perspective with us on NewsX World. With that, viewers, we're shifting our focus away from the United Kingdom towards more developments we're tracking. US President Donald Trump has stated that he will meet with Office of Management and Budget Director Russell Vogt to determine which Democrat agencies to cut and whether those reductions will be temporary or permanent. Trump has made a fresh post on Truth Social and has called this shutdown an unprecedented opportunity handed to him by the radical left. This comes after the Trump administration froze $26 billion for Democratic-ruled states, following through on a threat to use the government shutdown to target Democratic priorities. This is the 15th such government shutdown since 1981. It has suspended scientific research, financial oversight, environmental cleanup efforts, and a wide range of other activities as well. With us on the broadcast is Matthew Wadham, American journalist, joining us from Washington, D.C. Thank you for taking our time and speaking to us. A political blame game is on in the United States of America. Democrats are pointing their fingers at Donald Trump, stating that he's not willing to budge as far as the Affordable Health Act is concerned and the funding regarding that is concerned. The Republicans, meanwhile, Trump and Vance are pinning the blame on the Democrats, stating that the Democrats are trying to fund what he terms as illegal aliens. In your assessment, how long will the logjam persist?
I think it may persist a few weeks. I don't think the two sides are at the moment anywhere near resolving their differences. So yeah, I think that the government shutdown could last a few weeks. It doesn't actually, it's not as horrible as some media outlets portray it. It doesn't affect most people. People who, old people who depend on Social Security checks will continue to receive them. It's just that some government employees will not be paid for the time being, but they will be paid once the two sides bridge their differences and funding is restored. These furloughed employees always get their money in the end.
Indeed, and Trump has now contended that the shutdown will save billions of dollars. It's now provided him an opportunity to cut off what he says are Democrat Party projects, essentially. And now he's also gone after Democratic ruled states as well. Where do you see this headed? Are we to expect a legal battle to take place?
Well, it's America. There is always a legal battle. So, we're a nation of laws and lawyers. So, of course, there are going to be lawsuits. Whether they will go anywhere is another question. The Supreme Court so far has been willing to let President Trump fire almost anyone he wants to fire. And for the most part with deportations, they've allowed President Trump to move ahead with deportations, even when there have been lingering legal questions. So yeah, there's going to be lawsuits, but I'm not sure if any of them are going to go anywhere. President Trump is going to use, as I understand it, is going to use this opportunity of the shutdown to eliminate programs for what they call Green New Deal funding. That is funding for like a lot of fancy solar and wind energy projects that Republicans say are a waste of money and don't create a lot of jobs, but these programs are very dear to Democrats who strongly support them.
All right, so I request you to stay on with us as we're tracking more updates, this time from the Middle East. We're learning that a deadly airstrike has taken place in central Gaza. In fact, a house in Deir el-Bala has been struck as well, and bodies have now been recovered. They've been brought to the Al-Aqsa hospital, including that of 26-year-old Omar al-Hayyak, a Doctors Without Borders staff member who was killed in a separate strike. In fact, Médecins Sans Frontières has confirmed that 4 other colleagues were injured, calling the loss devastating for families, medical teams and healthcare workers as well. The organization has already lost 13 staff in the ongoing war, and widespread airstrikes continue to claim lives and put enormous strain on humanitarian operations. In fact, the MSF has warned that the impact on their teams and relief efforts will be dramatic. Listen in.
Enough of this killing, enough of these injuring of people. These are humanitarian members. They are healthcare workers, and I don't care that they were or were not targeted. We don't kill people like this. Enough people killed. It's just I have no words to what to tell you. I am just angry and I have
اليوم في مجزرة كل يوم فالمدنيين والأهالي والنساء والأطفال فقط لا غير. ما تفسير ان هذا عدو ظالم ما بيرحم حجر ولا بشر ولا حاجه. طلع هين صور هين هاي بهايم الله يعزك ناس مزرعين احنا.
Still with us on the broadcast is Mr. Matthew Wadham. We've of course been warned by international organizations, including the United Nations, that the situation in Gaza on the ground for civilians is quite dire at the moment. There's a famine that is taking place there as well. Meanwhile, airstrikes are continuing, and doctors too, who are providing aid to the people who are currently starving, they have also now lost their lives. They're also now in the toll of casualties as well. Now with the peace deal being floated by the US and Israel, the ball is in Hamas's court. Do you think they will accept this deal and ensure that no more lives are lost?
No, I don't think Hamas will accept the deal, because the deal essentially abolishes Hamas. It takes them it puts them out of business, and I don't think that they don't want that. They claim to want peace, but I don't believe them. They want to destroy Israel, and despite their recent claims to the contrary at the conference in Beijing, peace conference in Beijing a few days ago, I don't believe that they have reformed, and I think they still want to eliminate Israel. So I would be, I cannot see into the future and tell you what is going to happen for sure, but I would be very surprised if Hamas were to accept the peace deal. So I just don't expect it to happen, but I'm not sure how desperate the leaders of Hamas feel right now. Do they feel it is worth it to essentially dissolve their organization and stop participating in politics, in the governance of Gaza and Palestine? Is that so important to them? Is that important to them? I think it is important to them, and I don't think they will agree to the deal. So if they sign the deal, I will believe it. As we say in America, I will believe it when I see it.
All right, so I request you to stay on with us as we're tracking further developments from the Middle East. We're now learning that vessels and Navy boats are arriving at the Israeli port of Ashdod after the interception of the Global Sumud Flotilla by Israeli forces. Now, one boat, the Mikeno, was reported to have escaped the maritime blockade and to have stopped inside Palestinian territorial waters near Gaza's coast before contact with the vessel was lost. Now, this is the first time since Israel imposed a naval blockade on Gaza's waters in 2009 that an unauthorized mission has reached closer than 70 nautical miles from the territory. Now, Israeli Foreign Ministry has confirmed that one last boat of the flotilla remains in distance. Meanwhile, the partner of Spanish lawmaker Juan Bordera Roma, who was on board the flotilla, has described the interception as clean and peaceful, emphasizing that no violence took place during the operation. She also confirmed that most passengers have disembarked safely and that authorities provided assistance as needed. Listen in.
Teníamos cierto miedo porque hasta ahora a flotillas anteriores, cuando sí que han conseguido entrar en aguas palestinas, se les ha bombardeado con drones. Sí que nos ha llegado desde un cónsul que están bien, que han desembarcado, sobre todo que la interceptación ha sido limpia. Entendemos que con ese eufemismo se refieren a que no ha sido violenta como sí han sido los anteriores ataques de drones. Lo que sabemos a nivel legal es que los pueden retener primero 72 horas, después si no firman el papel que admiten que han cometido un acto ilegal, los pueden retener hasta 2 meses. Hasta es que no sabemos cuándo, porque también se pueden realizar deportaciones forzosas.
Still with us on the broadcast is Mr. Matthew Vedam. We've of course seen a similar attempt being made a couple of months back. A Swedish climate campaigner, Greta Thunberg, was detained back then as well, and she was sent back safe and sound through a chartered plane. And now as well, we're seeing these activists being detained. Now, what's of importance is that Israel had in fact appealed to the flotilla, to the organizing committee, to use proper channels in order to send humanitarian aid. They had in fact offered to take the aid from Cyprus and deliver it to Gaza. However, the flotilla decided to still advance into the waters outside the Palestinian territory. Was this then more about the optics than the messaging?
I think that the flotilla was done to project a sense of urgency that and to rally support to the Palestinian, to the Gazan cause. I sincerely doubt whether the organizers of the flotilla actually believed it was going to work. They are running a blockade, a military blockade during a war, and they did not do this using warships. So I have to suspect they knew that they were not going to get through without difficulties. I think it is what you could call a publicity stunt to encourage support for the side that they support, the Palestinian side. Maybe the aid will get through. Maybe it won't. I'm not sure. But when you're in a wartime situation like that, you have to abide by the rules of the dominant power. In which case, here it is Israel, and you have to do what they say if you want aid to be sent through. Israel itself sends a lot of aid to Gaza. It's unusual. In that respect, because which countries aid the population of the enemy that they're fighting during wartime? Not too many, based on what's happened in the past in history. So I think the flotilla was a public relations exercise to rally support for Palestinians, and I doubt its value as an actual provider of aid for the people of Gaza. So I am skeptical about the good faith of those who put together the flotilla.
All right, so with that, I would like to thank you for taking out time speaking to us and sharing your perspective on these key developments. Meanwhile, viewers, we're tracking some further updates coming in. Polish authorities now say that a Russian ship near a gas pipeline was acting as a fishing vessel. The Interior Ministry confirmed that the ship stopped for about 20 minutes but followed border guard instructions and moved away from the area without incident. Polish officials have stressed that the situation posed no immediate threat. Similar incidents have taken place before, with Russian vessels previously observed near critical undersea infrastructure in the Baltic Sea, prompting NATO and EU monitoring and intervention to ensure energy and security safety. With that, viewers, it's a wrap on this bulletin. More news and updates on the other side. Stay tuned on NewsX World.